The arrival. The first sign of the impending invasion came on a quiet Tuesday evening in late autumn. Dr. Elena Reeves, lead astronomer at the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico, was just about to end her shift when an alarm blared through the facility. She rushed to her console, her heart pounding as she pulled up the incoming data. "What in the world?" she muttered, adjusting her glasses as she stared at the screen. A cluster of unidentified objects had suddenly appeared in Earth's orbit, seemingly out of nowhere. They were massive, easily dwarfing the International Space Station. Within hours, observatories and space agencies worldwide confirmed the sighting. Panic spread like wildfire as images of the alien ships flooded social media and news outlets. Governments scrambled to respond, militaries went on high alert, and civilians stockpiled supplies, fearing the worst. As the world held its breath, the aliens made their first move. A message, broadcast on all frequencies and in every language, echoed across the globe. "People of Earth, we are the Zor Thaeli Imperium. Your planet has been chosen for colonization. Surrender now, and you will be allowed to serve as laborers in our new outposts. Resist, and you will be eradicated. You have 24 Earth hours to comply." The ultimatum sent shockwaves through humanity. World leaders convened emergency sessions, debating whether to fight or capitulate. In the end, the decision was unanimous. Earth would not go down without a fight. As the deadline approached, the alien ships began their descent. Military bases around the world prepared for combat. Fighter jets scrambled, and missile defense systems stood ready. But what happened next caught everyone off guard. The massive alien vessels, sleek and imposing in space, began to struggle as they entered Earth's atmosphere. Their smooth descent turned erratic, with ships wobbling and veering off course. Confused chatter filled military communication channels as officers tried to make sense of the situation. "Are they having trouble flying?" Colonel Sarah Chen of the United States Space Force asked incredulously, watching the radar screens at NORAD. Her question was answered moments later as the lead ship, a behemoth easily the size of a small city, suddenly plummeted from the sky. It crashed into the Mojave Desert with an earth-shattering impact, sending plumes of dust and debris miles into the air. One by one, the other ships followed suit, crashing in various locations around the globe. As the dust settled, humanity held its collective breath. The invasion they had feared had quite literally fallen flat. But what came next would challenge everything they thought they knew about their place in the universe. In the Mojave, a team of first responders cautiously approached the crash site. The alien ship, once a marvel of advanced technology, now lay half-buried in the sand, its hull breached in multiple places. As they neared, a hatch groaned open, and the first alien emerged. The creature that stumbled out was nothing like the terrifying conquerors humanity had imagined. Standing at nearly 10 feet tall, the alien's body was spindly and frail-looking, with multiple limbs that trembled violently. It took one wobbly step and immediately collapsed, letting out a high-pitched wheeze that might have been a cry of distress. More aliens followed, each struggling against an invisible force that seemed to be crushing them. Some managed a few steps before falling, while others couldn't even make it out of their ship without assistance from their comrades. Captain Jake Martins of the U.S. Army watched the scene unfold through his binoculars, a mix of confusion and amusement on his face. "I'll be damned," he muttered to his second-in-command, Lieutenant Zoe Watson. "Looks like these big bad invaders can't handle a little thing called gravity." Zoe snorted, shaking her head in disbelief. All that advanced technology, and they didn't bother to check the gravity of the planet they were invading. That's like going to war without checking if your guns are loaded. As more reports flooded in from crash sites around the world, a picture began to emerge. The Zor Thaeli, for all their spacefaring prowess, came from a planet with significantly lower gravity than Earth. Their bodies, evolved for their home world, were simply not equipped to handle the crushing force of Earth's gravitational pull. What had started as a day of terror for humanity had turned into something entirely unexpected. The invaders, so formidable in space, were now helpless against the very planet they had come to conquer. As night fell on the Moab, the aliens huddled near their ruined ship, clearly in distress. Captain Martinez's team had set up a perimeter, unsure of how to proceed. The Zor-Thali's weapons, like their bodies, seemed to be malfunctioning in Earth's gravity, making them far less of a threat than anyone had anticipated. "So," Zoe said, breaking the tense silence, "what do we do now? Arrest them? Help them? They did try to invade us, but this is just sad." Jake sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I don't know, Lieutenant, but something tells me this is just the beginning of a very strange chapter in human history." As if to emphasize his point, one of the aliens attempted to stand again, only to topple over with a resounding thud. The sound echoed across the desert, a fitting punctuation to humanity's first, utterly bizarre encounter with alien life. Little did they know, this was only the opening act of a cosmic drama that would challenge both species and redefine their place in the universe. The real test was yet to come, as humans and aliens alike would have to navigate a new reality where the very forces of nature had turned the tables on would-be conquerors. Gravity's embrace. Dawn broke over the Moab Desert, casting long shadows across the alien wreckage. The crash site, now a bustling hive of activity, was surrounded by a mix of military personnel, scientists, and curious onlookers kept at bay by a hastily erected perimeter. Dr. Samantha Lee, a xenobiologist flown in from MIT, approached the alien ship with a mix of trepidation and excitement. Her team, dressed in hazmat suits as a precaution, carried an array of scientific equipment. As they neared the ship, they could hear the aliens inside, their strange language a series of clicks and whistles that sounded almost mournful. "Remember," Samantha said to her team, "we're here to observe and collect data. No direct contact unless absolutely necessary." As they rounded the ship's hull, they came face to face with a group of aliens attempting to exit their craft. The sight was both comical and pitiful. The Zor-Thali, with their towering height and multiple limbs, looked like a cross between a praying mantis and a giraffe. Their bodies, clearly adapted for a low-gravity environment, struggled against Earth's pull. One alien, its iridescent exoskeleton gleaming in the morning sun, managed to take a few wobbling steps before collapsing in a tangle of limbs. It let out a series of frustrated clicks, its large, compound eyes blinking rapidly. "Fascinating," Samantha murmured, adjusting her sensors. "Their musculature appears to be highly efficient for low-gravity environments, but it's simply not strong enough to support their mass here on Earth." Meanwhile, at the military command post set up nearby, Captain Jake Martinez was briefing his superiors via video conference. The faces on the screen looked equal parts bewildered and concerned. "So you're telling me," General Harriet Cho said, her voice tinged with disbelief, "that these aliens, with their advanced space travel and weapons, are essentially incapacitated by our gravity?" Jake nodded, suppressing a smile. "Yes, ma'am. They can barely stand, let alone pose a threat. Their weapons seem to be malfunctioning as well. Something about the increased gravity is interfering with their energy sources." The general pinched the bridge of her nose. "I never thought I'd say this, but thank God for physics. What's our next move, Captain?" Before Jake could respond, a commotion outside caught his attention. He excused himself and rushed out of the tent, nearly colliding with Lieutenant Zoe Watson. "Sir," Zoe said, breathless with excitement, "you need to see this." They jogged to the edge of the perimeter, where a small crowd had gathered. In the clearing before them, an alien was attempting to communicate. It had managed to prop itself up against a boulder, its long limbs splayed out for balance. In one of its upper appendages, it held what appeared to be a translation device. The alien activated the device, and a metallic voice rang out. "Humans, help. Gravity, crushing." Jake stepped forward, hands raised to show he was unarmed. We hear you. What do you need? The alien's compound eyes focused on Jake, and the device crackled to life again. Mistake. Underestimated. Planet's pull. Need. Assistance. A ripple of murmurs went through the crowd. The would-be invaders were asking for help from those they had come to conquer. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Dr. Lee, who had rushed over at the commotion, whispered to Jake, "This could be our chance to establish peaceful communication. If we help them, maybe we can avoid further conflict." Jake nodded, then addressed the alien. "We're willing to help, but we need assurances. You came here to invade our planet. How do we know this isn't a trick?" The alien's limbs trembled with the effort of staying upright. No trick. Survival. Gravity. Unexpected defense. You, stronger than anticipated. As Jake considered the alien's words, Dr. Lee's team began setting up equipment nearby. She approached the captain, her eyes bright with scientific curiosity. "Captain, if I may, this is an unprecedented opportunity. We could learn so much about their physiology, their technology, and in the process, we might find a way to help them adapt to our gravity." Jake raised an eyebrow. "Help them adapt? Doctor, need I remind you they came here to conquer us?" Samantha nodded emphatically. "I understand the concern, but think about it. If we can help them, we're in a position of power. We could negotiate from a place of strength. And who knows, this could be the beginning of a peaceful exchange of knowledge." As they debated, more aliens had gathered at the ship's entrance, watching the exchange with what could only be described as hopeful expressions. Their earlier bravado had evaporated, replaced by a very real fear for their survival. Zoe, who had been listening intently, chimed in. "Sir, the doctor has a point. Plus, if we help them, it shows we're better than they are. We're not conquerors or savages. We're a species advanced enough to offer aid even to those who meant us harm." Jake looked between his lieutenant and the scientist, then back at the alien struggling to maintain its dignity while being crushed by Earth's gravity. He made his decision. "All right," he said, addressing the alien. "We'll help you, but in return, we expect full cooperation. You'll share information about yourselves, your technology, and your intentions. Is that understood?" The alien's translation device crackled once more. "Understood. Grateful. Will comply." As word of this development spread, reactions around the world were mixed. Some hailed it as a triumph of human compassion and diplomacy. Others warned of the potential dangers of aiding a species that had initially come as invaders. But for better or worse, humanity had taken its first steps towards a new era of interstellar relations. Over the next few days, a strange coexistence began to take shape at the crash site. Scientists worked alongside military personnel, studying the aliens and their technology. The Zor-Thaali, for their part, seemed eager to cooperate, perhaps realizing that their survival depended on human goodwill. Dr. Lee and her team made rapid progress in understanding the aliens' biology. They discovered that the Zor-Thaali's home planet had about 1/3 of Earth's gravity, explaining their difficulty in adapting. With this knowledge, they began developing assistive devices to help the aliens move more freely in Earth's gravity. Meanwhile, engineers pored over the alien technology, marveling at its sophistication, while also noting its limitations in Earth's environment. The Zor-Thaali's energy weapons, they found, relied on a form of plasma that became unstable in higher gravity fields. This discovery led to excited discussions about potential new avenues for Earth's own technological development. As the days turned into weeks, a cautious rapport began to develop between humans and aliens. The Zor-Thaali, stripped of their military might, revealed themselves to be curious and even somewhat humbled by their experience. They spoke of their home world, a planet of vast, low-lying plains and towering, spindly structures that would crumble under Earth's gravity. One alien, who had taken to using the human name Zix, became something of an ambassador for its people. Zix, with the help of the assistive devices developed by Dr. Lee's team, began to give talks to small groups of humans, explaining Zorthali culture and the misunderstandings that had led to their ill-fated invasion attempt. Our leaders, Zix explained through its now refined translation device, believe your planet to be weak and ripe for colonization. We had observed your conflicts, your divisions. We thought you would be easy to conquer. We were wrong, not just about your strength, but about your character. As Zix spoke, Jake couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Humanity, faced with a potential apocalypse, had instead turned the situation into an opportunity for growth and understanding. They had literally brought their invaders to their knees, not through violence, but through the simple, immutable laws of physics. But even as progress was made of the crash site, tensions simmered around the world. Not everyone was convinced of the aliens' peaceful intentions, and there were those who called for more aggressive action. The real test of this fragile new relationship was yet to come, and it would challenge both species in ways they could scarcely imagine. As the sun set on another day in Movav, Jake stood at the edge of the camp, looking out at the alien ship silhouetted against the darkening sky. Beside him, Zoe voiced the thought that had been nagging at him. "Do you think there are more of them out there, sir, waiting to see how this plays out?" Jake nodded slowly. "I'd bet on it, Lieutenant. Something tells me this is just the beginning of a much bigger story." Little did they know how right they were. High above the earth, hidden from human detection, a Zorthali command ship watched and waited, its crew debating their next move in light of this unexpected turn of events. The real battle for Earth's future was about to begin, and gravity would once again play a crucial role. The adaptation game. As weeks turned into months, the crash site in the Movav Desert transformed into a bustling research center. Dubbed First Contact Base by the media, it became a melting pot of human and Zorthali cooperation, albeit under the watchful eyes of the world's militaries. Dr. Samantha Lee stood in her lab, surrounded by holographic displays showing the latest data on Zorthali physiology. She marveled at how far they'd come in understanding their unexpected visitors. The aliens' bodies were marvels of evolution, perfectly adapted for life in a low-gravity environment. Their bones were hollow yet strong, their muscles efficient but ill-suited for Earth's punishing pull. "Dr. Lee," a voice called from the doorway. Samantha turned to see Zix, the Zorthali ambassador, wobbling into the lab. The alien wore an exoskeleton suit, a joint human Zorthali creation that allowed for easier movement in Earth's gravity. "Zix, come in," Samantha said, smiling. "How's the new suit working?" Zix's multifaceted eyes blinked in a pattern Samantha had come to recognize as amusement. "It is adequate," the alien's translator conveyed. "Though I fear I will never truly adapt to this crushing embrace of your world." Samantha nodded sympathetically. "We're working on more permanent solutions. In fact, I wanted to show you our latest project." She pulled up a new hologram, showing a detailed molecular structure. "We've been studying your species' rapid cellular regeneration. We think we might be able to use it as a basis for a treatment that could help your bodies adapt to Earth's gravity over time." Zix studied the hologram, its antennae twitching with interest. "Fascinating. You humans continue to surprise us with your ingenuity." As they discussed the potential treatment, Captain Jake Martinez entered the lab, his face grave. "Dr. Zix, we have a situation." Jake led them to the command center, where screens displayed news feeds from around the world. Reports were coming in of strange anomalies in Earth's orbit, distortions that looked eerily similar to those that had preceded the Zorthali's arrival. "Are there more of your people coming?" Jake asked Zix directly. The alien's posture stiffened, a sign of distress they'd learned to recognize. I do not know. We sent no distress call, but it is possible our leaders grew impatient waiting for news of our conquest." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Their fragile peace might soon be tested by a new wave of invaders, ones who might not be so easily thwarted by gravity. "We need to prepare," Jake said, breaking the silence. Doctor, how close are we to replicating any of the Zorthali technology? Samantha shook her head. We've made progress, but nothing combat-ready. Their tech is just too adapted to low-gravity environments. It's like trying to make a submarine fly. Possible in theory, but incredibly difficult in practice. As they debated their options, an alarm blared through the facility. Lieutenant Zoe Watson burst into the room, her eyes wide. "Sir, you need to see this." They rushed outside, looking up at the sky. What they saw made their blood run cold. A massive ship, easily 10 times the size of the original invasion force, was descending through the atmosphere. Unlike its predecessors, this vessel moved with purpose, seemingly unaffected by Earth's gravity. "How is that possible?" Samantha whispered, her scientific mind racing to understand what she was seeing. Zix's translator crackled with a mix of awe and fear. "It is the matriarch's vessel. They have adapted." As the enormous ship loomed closer, Jake turned to Zix. "We need answers, now. What are we up against?" Zix's alien features contorted in what they'd come to recognize as an expression of shame. "The matriarch. She is the supreme leader of our people. If she has come herself, it means she views your world as a significant prize or a significant threat. But how are they counteracting the gravity?" Samantha pressed. "I can only speculate," Zix replied. "But our scientists had been working on gravity manipulation technology before the invasion. It seems they have perfected it." Jake's jaw clenched. "So we're back to square one. Outgunned and outmatched." But Samantha's eyes lit up with an idea. "Maybe not. Zix, this gravity tech, it counteracts Earth's pull, right? Makes your ship lighter." Zix nodded its alien head. "In simple terms, yes." A slow smile spread across Samantha's face. "Then that's our advantage. They're used to fighting in low gravity. We're not." Jake caught on quickly. "You're saying we can use their own tech against them? Use Earth's gravity as a weapon?" "Exactly," Samantha said, her mind racing with possibilities. "If we can disrupt their gravity fields, they'll be just as vulnerable as the first wave. Maybe even more so, if they're not expecting it." Zix looked between the two humans, its alien features unreadable. "You would have me betray my people." Jake met the alien's gaze. "Your people came here as conquerors, Zix. We offered friendship. Now we're asking you to help us defend our home. What's it going to be?" For a long moment, Zix was silent. Then, slowly, it nodded. "You have shown us a better way. I will help you." As the matriarch's ship drew ever closer, casting an ominous shadow over the desert, the unlikely allies rushed back into the base. They had precious little time to turn their desperate plan into reality. In the lab, Samantha and her team worked feverishly, combining human ingenuity with Zorthali knowledge. They repurposed the aliens' own technology, creating devices that could disrupt the invaders' gravity fields. Meanwhile, Jake coordinated with military forces around the world, preparing for a battle unlike any in human history. Fighter jets were retrofitted with the new anti-gravity devices, and ground troops were equipped with specially designed weapons that could exploit the invaders' weakness to Earth's pull. As they worked, a message boomed from the sky, broadcast in every language. "People of Earth, I am Matriarch Zorvac of the Thali Imperium. Your defiance has been noted. Your attempt to turn our own kind against us is futile. Surrender now, or face annihilation." Jake looked at Zix, who stood tall despite the crushing gravity. "Any last words for your matriarch?" Zix's alien features set in determination. "Yes. Tell her that the Zorthali have found something greater than conquest here on Earth. We have found understanding." As the first wave of alien fighters descended from the massive ship, Earth's defenders readied themselves. The fate of the planet hung in the balance, with gravity itself as the ultimate wild card. In the command center, Jake gave the order. "All units, engage. Let's show them the true weight of humanity's resolve." The battle for Earth had begun, with the very forces of nature tipping the scales in humanity's favor. It was time to see if the Zorthali's advanced technology could stand up to the indomitable human spirit and the relentless pull of Earth's gravity. Counter-invasion. The sky above the Mojave Desert erupted into chaos as the first wave of Zorthali fighters descended. Their sleek insectoid ships moved with an unnatural grace, clearly aided by advanced gravity manipulation technology. But Earth was ready. Captain Jake Martinez's voice crackled over the comm system. "Remember your training, people. Let them get nice and low before you hit them with the disruptors. We want gravity on our side." From hidden bunkers and camouflaged positions, human forces watched and waited. Among them, Dr. Samantha Lee clutched a tablet, monitoring the energy signatures of the approaching alien craft. Beside her, Zix stood rigid in its exosuit, its alien features unreadable. Now, Jake's command rang out. In an instant, the desert came alive. Specially modified tanks and mobile platforms revealed themselves, each equipped with gravity disruptor technology reverse-engineered from Zorthali tech. They fired in unison, sending pulses of energy skyward. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The alien fighters, once graceful, began to wobble and sink. Some plummeted immediately, their pilots unprepared for the sudden crush of Earth's full gravity. Others managed to stay airborne but flew erratically, easy targets for Earth's air defenses. In the sky, human fighter jets engaged the aliens in dogfights unlike any seen before. The pilots, trained in high-G maneuvers, had a distinct advantage over their alien counterparts who were used to the forgiving nature of low-gravity combat. "It's working," Samantha exclaimed, her eyes darting across streams of data. "Their systems are overloading trying to compensate for the gravity fluctuations." Zix's translator crackled. "The matriarch will not be pleased. She will escalate." As if on cue, the massive Zorthali mothership began to descend, its enormous bulk defying physics as it pushed through Earth's atmosphere. The ground trembled under its approach, and even the bravest soldiers felt a flutter of fear. Jake's voice came through again, tense but determined. "All units, focus fire on the mothership. We need to disrupt its gravity field before it can deploy ground forces." Earth's defenders redirected their efforts, pouring everything they had into attacking the colossal vessel. For agonizing minutes, it seemed to have no effect. The ship continued its implacable descent, shrugging off missiles and energy weapons alike. Then, almost imperceptibly at first, it began to list to one side. A cheer went up from the human forces as they realized their weapons were finally having an impact. The mothership's gravity field was failing. Inside the command center, alarms blared as sensors detected a massive energy buildup within the alien vessel. Samantha's eyes widened as she interpreted the data. They're trying to compensate. If they push their engines any harder in Earth's gravity. She didn't need to finish. Everyone understood the implications. The Zorthali ship, designed for the vacuum of space and low-gravity environments, was about to tear itself apart in Earth's unforgiving embrace. Jake made a split-second decision. "All units, cease fire and fall back. That ship is going to break up, and we don't want to be under it when it does." As human forces retreated to safe distances, the sky lit up with a spectacle both terrifying and awe-inspiring. The Zorthali mothership, pride of their fleet, began to break apart under its own impossible weight. Massive chunks of alien metal rained down on the desert, each impact sending shockwaves across the land. In the aftermath, as dust settled over the transformed landscape, an eerie silence fell. The remains of Zorthali fighters littered the desert, and the shattered hulk of the mothership formed a new alien mountain range on the horizon. Zix, who had watched the destruction of its people's mightiest warship in stoic silence, finally spoke. The matriarch, she would have been at the heart of that ship. Jake placed a hand on the alien's shoulder, a gesture of comfort they'd learned transcended species. "I'm sorry, Zix. We never wanted this level of destruction." But Zix shook its head, its translator conveying a complex mix of emotions. Do not apologize. The matriarch's arrogance brought this upon our people. Perhaps this defeat will finally open their eyes to the folly of conquest. As human forces cautiously approached the wreckage, searching for survivors and securing alien technology, the true scale of their victory began to sink in. Humanity, against all odds, had repelled an invasion by a technologically superior species, and they had done it not just with weapons, but with ingenuity, adaptability, and an unexpected alliance. In the command center, world leaders were already clamoring for updates and issuing new directives. The geopolitical landscape was shifting by the minute as nations grappled with the implications of this new reality. Samantha, exhausted but exhilarated, turned to Jake and Zix. "So, what happens now?" Jake ran a hand through his hair, looking out at the debris-strewn desert. Now we rebuild. We learn. And we prepare." Zix's alien eyes blinked in agreement. "Yes, for this victory does not mark the end. It marks a beginning. My people will return. Whether for peace or war remains to be seen. But Earth has proven itself a force to be reckoned with in the galaxy." As the sun set on the battlefield, casting long shadows across the alien wreckage, humanity stood at the threshold of a new era. They had faced the stars and emerged victorious, their planet's very nature proving to be their greatest asset. But as Zix had said, this was only the beginning. The galaxy now knew of Earth, of humanity's potential and resilience. What challenges and opportunities awaited them in the cosmic arena remained to be seen. One thing was certain: humanity was ready to face whatever the universe had in store, with the comforting weight of their home world beneath their feet and the boundless spirit of exploration in their hearts. A new understanding. In the months following the battle that came to be known as the Gravity War, Earth underwent a transformation unlike any in its history. The desert battlefield, once strewn with the wreckage of alien ships, now bustled with activity as the largest reverse engineering project in human history got underway. Dr. Samantha Lee stood atop a scaffolding overlooking the massive alien artifacts. Her team, a mix of human scientists and Zorthali defectors, worked tirelessly to unravel the secrets of the advanced technology. Each discovery brought new marvels and new challenges. "Dr. Lee," a voice called from below. She looked down to see Captain Jake Martinez, now Colonel Martinez, approaching. "The UN Security Council is convening. They want our latest report." Samantha sighed, climbing down to join him. "Let me guess, they're asking about weapons again." Jake nodded grimly. "Can you blame them? The world's still on edge. Everyone's wondering when the next shoe will drop." As they walked to the command center, now a permanent structure rising from the desert floor, they passed groups of Zorthali. The aliens, once invaders, now worked alongside humans in a tenuous but growing partnership. Many wore the latest version of exosuits, allowing them to move comfortably in Earth's gravity. Inside, screens displayed news from around the world. Headlines spoke of economic upheaval, political realignments, and a global space race as nations scrambled to adapt alien tech for their own use. But beneath the chaos, a new sense of unity had emerged. Humanity, for the first time in its history, stood together as a planetary civilization. Zix was waiting for them, its alien form now a familiar sight in the high-tech surroundings. "Greetings, friends. I bring news from the stars." Jake and Samantha exchanged glances. Zix had been instrumental in establishing communication with the remnants of the Zorthali fleet that had followed after the matriarch's defeat. "What have you heard?" Jake asked, tension evident in his voice. Zix's translator conveyed a mix of relief and concern. "The Imperium is in disarray. The loss of the matriarch and our mightiest ship has sparked a civil war. Many question the path of conquest that led us to this defeat." Samantha leaned forward, intrigued. "And the faction that wants peace? The one you've been in contact with?" "They grow stronger by the day," Zix replied. "Your victory has become a rallying cry for those who seek a new way. They wish to open diplomatic channels with Earth. Jake's brow furrowed. And those who still see us as a threat. Zix's alien features set in what they'd come to recognize as determination. They exist, yes, but they are losing support. The gravity war showed the galaxy that humanity is not to be underestimated. Many now speak of Earth with a mixture of fear and respect. As they digested this information, a commotion outside drew their attention. They rushed to the window to see a crowd gathering around one of the alien artifacts. A cheer went up as the massive device hummed to life, generating a localized low-gravity field. Samantha's eyes widened. We did it. We finally cracked their gravity manipulation tech. Jake whistled low. Do you realize what this means? Space exploration, construction, transportation. Everything changes now. Zix moved to stand between them, its alien eyes taking in the celebration below. Indeed. But with great power comes great responsibility, as your people. Zix moved to stand between them, its alien eyes taking in the celebration below. Indeed. But with great power comes great responsibility, as your people say. The path ahead is fraught with both promise and peril. Jake nodded solemnly. You're right. We've got the power to reach the stars now, but we've also got the power to make the same mistakes your people did. Samantha's eyes gleamed with determination. Then we make sure we do it right. We learn from the Zorthali's mistakes. We go to the stars not as conquerors, but as explorers and diplomats. As they watched the jubilant crowd below, a sense of profound change settled over them. Humanity stood on the brink of a new era, one that would redefine their place in the cosmos. Over the next few years, Earth experienced a renaissance of technology and culture. The reverse-engineered Zorthali tech sparked innovations in every field. Cities began to incorporate gravity manipulation, creating floating districts and revolutionizing transportation. Space elevators, once the stuff of science fiction, became a reality, opening up easy access to orbit. But it wasn't just technological progress that marked this new age. The near miss of alien conquest had fundamentally altered humanity's perspective. Old rivalries and conflicts began to seem petty in the face of a vast and potentially hostile universe. A new sense of global unity emerged, culminating in the formation of the Earth Unified Council, a governing body representing all nations. 5 years after the Gravity War, humanity was ready to take its first steps into the galactic community. The ESS Resilience, Earth's first faster-than-light capable ship, prepared for its maiden voyage. Its mission: to establish diplomatic relations with the reformed Zorthali Imperium and other alien civilizations. On the day of the launch, a crowd of thousands gathered in the Mojave, now home to Earth's primary spaceport. The sleek ship, a fusion of human and Zorthali design, stood proudly on the launch pad. Colonel Jake Martinez, now Admiral Martinez, stood at the podium, addressing the crowd and the billions watching around the world. 5 years ago, we faced extinction. We were attacked by a force that believed us weak, divided, and ripe for conquest. They didn't count on one thing: the indomitable spirit of humanity. We turned their own strength against them. We made gravity itself our ally. He paused, his gaze sweeping over the assembled crowd. But our victory taught us more than just how to defend ourselves. It taught us that we're not alone in this vast universe. It taught us that cooperation can overcome even the greatest differences. And it taught us that the force that binds us to our home world, gravity, can also be the force that launches us to the stars. As Jake spoke, Dr. Samantha Lee stood near the ship, making last-minute checks. Her role as Chief Science Officer of the Resilience was the culmination of years of work and discovery. Beside her stood Zix, now Earth's official liaison to the Zorthali. "Are you ready?" Samantha asked, noting the alien's contemplative posture. Zix's translator conveyed a mix of excitement and nervousness. "I am. It is poetic, is it not, that I return to the stars alongside the very people my kind once sought to conquer?" Samantha smiled. That's what makes this mission so important. We're not just exploring space, we're proving that different species can work together, learn from each other. As Jake concluded his speech, the crowd erupted in cheers. The Resilience's engines ignited, but instead of the fiery blast of traditional rockets, a shimmer of distorted space enveloped the ship. With grace that belied its size, it rose silently into the air, gravity itself bending to human will. As the ship ascended, picking up speed, Jake joined Samantha and Zix. They watched in awe as the Resilience became a tiny speck in the sky, then vanished in a flash of light as it engaged its FTL drive. "Well," Jake said, a hint of wonder in his voice, "I guess that's it. Humanity's officially a spacefaring civilization." Zix's alien eyes blinked in what they'd come to recognize as its version of a smile. "Not just spacefaring, my friends. You are now part of a greater galactic community. And if I may say, I believe you will change it for the better." As the crowd continued to celebrate, the three friends, human and alien, looked up at the stars. The universe that had once seemed so vast and threatening now beckoned with infinite possibilities. Samantha voiced the thought they all shared. "This isn't the end of our story, it's just the beginning." And so, humanity took its place among the stars, carrying with them the lessons of the gravity war. They went forth not as conquerors, but as explorers and peacekeepers, ready to face whatever challenges the cosmos might present. The force that had once bound them to their world now propelled them into a future limited only by their imagination and their unwavering spirit. In the years to come, Earth would face new challenges and make incredible discoveries. But they would face it all united, with the wisdom gained from their unlikely victory, and the strength born from overcoming impossible odds. The galaxy would come to know humans not just as the species that weaponized gravity, but as the race that turned an invasion into an opportunity for growth and understanding. As the Resilience ventured into the unknown, it carried with it the hopes and dreams of an entire planet. Humanity had been tested by fire and gravity, and had emerged stronger, wiser, and ready to take their place in the cosmic dance of civilizations. The stars, once distant and unreachable, now awaited the touch of human hands and the brilliance of human minds. And as Earth looked to the future, they knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, bound by invisible forces stronger than gravity, unity, curiosity, and the indomitable human spirit.